Hi, it's Mike and Arlen, our Philippine journey. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been a busy past couple of days. Um, Arlen's having some oral surgery, and we've had to go to a couple of specialists. Has nothing to do with her teeth at all, quite honestly. But with that being said, things are progressing and she's doing fine. Now, respect in the Philippines. It's a double edged sword, and never is it in your position to decide. Let's talk about that.
Why'd you have to go? I guess this world's too slow for you. I think there's beauty in the gray, the cold, but you just want the gold. And there's no way I can beat it, cause I got no chance, no chance when it comes to her. She got the glitter and the fame, and I just wasn't enough.
So, you know, we've been around for going on 10 years, all right? And sure, it's a learning process, and we learn something new, or I learn something new every day. Um, and I want to talk to you about respect towards Filipinos, and respect towards understanding their culture, the way they are, and the different way that they certainly see things than you do. So, with that being said, hey, look, if you find our blogs informative, sometimes funny, I guess some of you didn't get too big a kick out of our bar finding two chickens, but it was meant as humor. It wasn't meant any other way. Either way, that being said, please do subscribe and hit that thumbs up. Now, you may want to judge how you respect and therefore then how you act around Filipinos based on many different things. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't matter what you think, all right? In a non confrontational, non aggressive, non violent situation, respect is always due. You can't disrespect people when you're not a part of their culture, their society. They can live in a high rise condo in BGC, but they may have been raised in a very traditional provincial atmosphere. They could live in a very traditional provincial atmosphere now, and yet they see things that you're unfamiliar with. They look at things differently. They're brought up in a different way. Things that we may take for granted mean a lot to them. And some things that mean a lot to us mean nothing to them. You've got to always recognize that they are, it's their country, it's their culture, and their culture will vary slightly. The minutia. I'm not talking about that, but the generality of their culture may vary slightly from different areas. And I mean, that's easy enough to see yourself where you come from. If you're from the US, people in the North are much different than people in the South. And they're much different than people out West. So you have to take that into consideration. You can't belittle people. You can't antagonize people because you don't understand. You don't know what they've been through. Just by virtue of you being here, you've had a better life than a vast majority of them. You haven't had to struggle for nearly as much and nearly as long as many that you will meet. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule. There's no doubt about it. But that's the truth. This is a developing country. And when you come out of a first world country into a developing country, things are different. Things are looked at differently. The elderly here, it's so weird sometimes. Okay? I don't, my mom doesn't work. Okay? Arlen's father gets up every morning and he has basically 4 jobs. He is a fisherman. He is a rice farmer. He has a trike that he occasionally bebops around in giving rides. And then whatever odd jobs he can find. I would never let my mother work at her age. Now, she is older than Arlen's father, obviously. But with that being said, Filipinos work from the day they can to the day they die, pretty much. It may not be manual labor. They may not be out there digging ditches at 80, although some are. All right. But they're always doing something. They're not laying around baking all the time. It's a lifelong endeavor and struggle. Respect for the elderly here is taken very seriously. I mean, you only need to look at all the perks you get for being a senior citizen. Just to take a look at it. These are not just perks. The government here doesn't really do much for you, all right, as a citizen. They really and truly don't. You kind of get what you put into when it comes to their Social Security. Their Phil Health is very limited, and there are charitable institutions. But if you ever want to see what it is the government does and thinks about senior citizens, look at all of the things they impose upon everybody else for senior citizens. Senior citizens get major discounts. And I'm not talking about, how strong is the government when it says to the airlines, you're going to give senior citizens a 10% discount on whatever fare is published as long as it's not a promo. You're going to give transportation. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And it does it. It makes them do it. It is a byproduct of what's going on. All right. Senior citizens are not well looked after. That's not the right word, but they are respected. Okay. The country doesn't have much to give. It's not like the U.S. It doesn't have a lot of social safety nets. It doesn't have a lot to give, but it does mandate particular things. With respect to younger people, even, I have yet to know. We have Filipino friends, and I'm going to tell you right now, some of them are younger. Some of them have children that are younger. We've never come across disrespectful Filipino friends or disrespectful Filipinos. Have we seen, in the province, for instance, okay? When we're in the province, it's not uncommon as the sun starts to set. Everybody is gathered around a central area where we live. A lot of family and old, long-time residents all live in a area that they've lived in for generations. It's not unlikely for the grills to come out. They start cooking fish or whatever, and the red horse and the gin comes out. And these guys On occasion, just like anywhere else, will drink a little bit more than they should. Yet it never becomes disrespectful. We've never seen that. Sure, it happens, obviously. All right. But we've never been subjected to that. And certainly we've never been subjected to being treated rudely by younger generations in the province and, quite frankly, in the city. We've never had a problem at all. Some of the things that you may consider a problem is maybe a cultural issue. There's no way around it. I could list a couple of things, but then we would argue whether that's cultural or not, because quite frankly, some of it is more demographically and geographically affiliated. And if you've never been, then you would never know. But if you've been somewhere else where it wasn't acceptable to you, you would think it's not. So my point with all of this is that when you're in the Philippines, it's time for you to recognize that you have to give as much, if not more, respect than you receive. And you're going to receive way more than you think. Okay? Are there bad Filipinos? Sure there are. Just like there are bad Americans. Just like there are bad Brits. Just like there are bad Aussies. For God's sakes. Don't we all know that? All right? Or can you going to sit there and condemn an entire society? I think that's a day late and a dollar short, personally. You have to recognize that here in the Philippines, it's a different world and it's a different culture. And after 10 years, it is quite honestly something I learn every day. I have to open my eyes. Sometimes I have to learn the same thing more than once. I really and truly do. Sometimes I have to recognize, I should know better than to understand what they're thinking. It's a different world sometimes. Look, you tell us, what do you think? Do you think they're disrespectful? Do you have examples of them being disrespectful? Or better yet, how many of you that live here, I'm not talking about visitors that are all through deep tourist areas where there are a lot of exceptions to rules. Have you been disrespected? Have you seen how respectful they are? Will they push? We won't even get into the family limit issues, okay? Because that's a whole different ball of wax. Tell us what you think. Otherwise, thanks. Have a great day.